Okay, every now and then I'll do a video where I discuss trophies. Let's talk a little bit about the Calder Trophy and how the KLM line changed it. Um, there are players who join the NHL at age 27 or 28, and surprise, you're not Calder eligible. If you're 27 or older at the start of your rookie year, you're not a rookie. You're considered a veteran because of these guys. Now, Makarov caused the rule change, but I figured, you know what? I'll discuss the KLM line because they're interesting, and there may be a lot of people watching this who may not have been around when the KLM line was the thing. And we'll start off with Krutov because Krutov is alphabetically first and also the most interesting and tragic of the three. So Krutov from 77-78 till 88-89 played for the Soviets and part of the Red Army team. So before, this was Russia, and it's all Russia. It was Soviet Union. The hammer and sickle, greatly feared. This was the best line in the world. They were together. Now, one thing about Soviet life was it was not easy. You didn't have a choice about training and when you trained and what you did. Everything you did in your life was by a certain set of rules. When they came over to the NHL, those rules were gone. You're free. Krutov didn't deal with this very well. In 438 games in the Soviet Union, he had 288 goals, 215 assists, 503 points. In points per game, he was better than Larionov. There were a lot of people who felt Larionov would be the playmaker and Krutov would be the goal scorer. Krutov's 288 goals in 438 games had Canuck fans and the Canucks management salivating at the idea of him coming over. What happened when he got here in 89 was nothing short of tragic. He played 61 games that year, had 11 goals, 23 assists, 34 points. This is live puck era. This is the equivalent of a guy coming in with a lot of buzz about how great he's going to be and scoring about 20 points. And honestly, he was not in good shape. There were a lot of comments about his weight. And what it came down to was he was homesick, and he didn't have people telling him what to do 24 hours a day. So yeah, he wasn't necessarily eating healthy, he wasn't necessarily doing all the workouts. And at an NHL level, you can't afford to do that. So it totals that for a rookie would have been respectable. For Krutov, at the age he was when he came in, this was as good as it was going to get. Rather than extend it any longer, he left the team after 1 year. The team didn't fight very hard to keep him. He ended up playing in Europe, and sadly, in 2012, Vladimir Krutov passed away due to liver failure at age 52. This is what can happen, and we talk a lot about guys coming over from Russia, and we talk about it like it's no big deal, and it's better now than it was then. But the culture shock is massive, and some players don't deal well with the culture shock. Krutov was a good example of that. It was the culture shock combined with, hey, I'm not in Red Army anymore. I can do what I want. So let's go to his line mate, Igor Larionov, part of that KLM line. Larionov played from 77-78 till 88-89 as well. He and Krutov were seen as being attached at the hip. Less so with Makarov, but I think all three of them pretty good buddies. And they came over together, and if they'd all been Canucks, who knows how things might have been different, but it didn't work out that way. In 457 games in the Soviet Union, 204 goals, 230 assists, 434 points. So more subdued numbers than Krutov, but Larionov was so smart at both ends of the ice. What really separated the Soviets from what the NHL was doing, and we saw this anytime the Soviets came over and played exhibition games against NHL teams, was their passing. Their passing was crazy. The kind of passing we see in the NHL now, we didn't see in the NHL back then. So when we saw these guys passing the puck around so much, it was like, what in the heck? This is a completely different game. Larionov struggled at the beginning too, but not in the same way. Just struggled to adjust on the ice. 17 goals, 27 assists, 44 points in 74 games. His second season, still with Vancouver, 64 games, 13 goals, 21 assists, 34 points. In 91-92, he finally gets going and becomes the Larionov we'd all expected. I keep wanting to say Makarov. The Larionov we'd expected when he came over. 72 games, 21 goals, 44 assists, 65 points, and then he walked away. Why did he walk away? Well, Larionov walked away because if the Canucks had re-signed him, they would have owed the Soviets, transferring to becoming the Russians, another transfer payment. And he said, I don't want them to make any more money off of me. He was very outspoken about how he felt regarding the former Soviet Union's Red Army team. I believe they were becoming Russia in '92. It was the States. Anyways, distracting from the story, he basically couldn't stay with the Canucks because he didn't want his bosses to make any more money off of him. So Vancouver reluctantly let him go. He played in the Swiss League in 92-93, and then in 93-94 he went to San Jose. So if you want to talk about when I started not necessarily being happy with San Jose, this was the first move San Jose made that I was like, but I wanted him on my team. 93-94 with San Jose, he played 60 games, 18 goals, 38 assists, 56 points. Broke my heart to see him playing so well in San Jose, because all I kept thinking was, the Canucks in 92-93 and 93-94, they really could have used Larionov on that team. You add Igor Larionov to that 94 Vancouver Canuck team that went to the final, you might have had yourself a Stanley Cup. But 94-95, he only plays 33 games, 4 goals, 20 assists, 24 points. And because these guys were older when they came over, the feeling was, all right, well, Larionov's career is winding down. He's almost done. No. Plays 4 games the following season with San Jose with a goal and an assist, and then is traded to the Detroit Red Wings. In Detroit, he plays 69 games, 21 goals, 50 assists, 71 points. Suddenly, Detroit's able to get over the hump. Why is that? Larionov played a major part in that. 96-97, he plays 64 games, 12 goals, 42 assists, 54 points. Yzerman's the driving force for the Red Wings, no doubt in my mind. But having a guy like Larionov as a support guy, and when he played the defensive role he played with Detroit, it was insane. 69 games played the following season, 8 goals, 39 assists, 47 points. 98-99, he plays 75 games, 14 goals, 39 assists, 53 points. Remember, at this point, he's pushing 40. And he's still playing. 2000-2001, he ends up in Florida, 25 games, 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points. They send him back to Detroit. Back in Detroit, he plays 39 games, 4 goals, 25 assists, 29 points. 01-02, he plays 70 games, 11 goals, 32 assists, 43 points. 2002-2003, 74 games, 10 goals, 33 assists, 43 points. And to finish things out, he played for New Jersey, gave it a shot, played 49 games, had a goal and 10 assists. And at this point, Larionov had lost that step. And that was 15 years in the NHL after coming over when he wasn't a young man. 921 games played, 169 goals, 475 assists, 644 points. You got yourself a Hall of Famer. Which I think Krutov would have been there too. I do. I think all 3 of these guys would have gone in the Hall of Fame. And based on what Krutov did in the Soviet Union, I would expect that eventually he gets in as an international star. But again, we're probably a ways out from that. Now, Makarov was the hogging of the attention guy, which is why I got a Flames hat on. But I didn't go with Calgary because honestly, there's a lot of teams on the board, so I thought I'm going to sneak the Atlanta Flames hat in. Don't have a lot of reasons to watch it, especially when I'm doing all the previews. So Makarov played from 76-77 to 88-89, so he came in a year before Krutov and Larionov. 519 games, 322 goals, 388 assists, 710 points. Clearly the star of the line. Drafted in 1983, late round draft pick by Calgary, who I'm sure were like, you know what? We're not going to get anybody anyways. We'll just pick that Makarov guy. He's not coming over anyways. Yeah, 6 years later he did. 89-90, 80 games played, 24 goals, 62 assists, 86 points, and he wins the Calder Trophy. At the ripe age of 31. The NHL looked at that and went, I don't think that's right. And that was when they changed the rules. It's the Makarov rule, meaning you have to be 26 or younger at the start of your rookie season, or you're not going to be a Rookie of the Year candidate. 90-91, 78 games played, 30 goals, 49 assists, 79 points. This is, remember, a Calgary Flames team that won a Stanley Cup in 89. So adding Makarov, it was seen as being, that's not fair. There's no salary cap, you don't have to worry about that, but adding Makarov one of the greatest, most accomplished international stars of the time. Even though Håkan Loob left the team, adding him at the expense of Loob, kind of a trade-off that I think most fans would have liked at the time. And, you know, this means Flames are going back to the Cup. Didn't happen. But in 91-92, he plays 68 games, 22 goals, 48 assists, 70 points. So he's still right around that point-a-game range. A lot of assists because, again, the Russians like to pass. Soviet players love passing the puck. 92-93, his last year in Calgary, 71 games, 18 goals, 39 assists, 57 points. The first time you see him play and you go, he's good. Is he still great? So he ends up in San Jose. And how does he get to San Jose? That's an interesting part of this video. He's traded by Calgary to Hartford for a 4th-round pick. So Calgary just wants to get rid of him at this point. He's done. He's done. Hartford then sends that Makarov guy with a 1st-round pick that became Viktor Kozlov, a 2nd-round pick, and a 3rd-round pick to Hartford for Hartford's, or to, they send it to San Jose for San Jose's number 2 overall draft pick, which becomes Chris Pronger. So Makarov is part of the reason why Chris Pronger didn't end up being a Shark. And that's just one of those interesting trades, isn't it? He plays 80 games in San Jose, 30 goals, 38 assists, 68 points. So I'm sure in year 1, San Jose was like, you know what? This Pronger kid, who knows if he's going to work out? Pronger struggled his first year in the NHL. This trade looks good. But year 2, it falls. 43 games, 10 goals, 14 assists, 24 points. The game had passed Makarov by. So what's interesting is Makarov comes in as 1 year older than Larionov, plays till 94-95 as a regular, which is here, and Larionov had a whole career after that. Stanley Cups after that. Makarov then became a coach the year after, because San Jose said, all right, we're cutting you from a roster. 96-97, he tried to come back with the Stars. He played 4 games, no points. Just didn't work out. And 420 games played. I don't know why I put 42 there. Probably because it's the answer to life, the universe, and everything. But it's certainly not his games played total. But in roughly 420 games played, he has 134 goals, 250 assists, 384 points in the NHL. And he's a Hall of Famer as well. Olympic gold. These guys won Olympic gold in 84 and 88. World Championship gold, 82, 83, 86, and 89. This was well before most of their wins were well before we thought they were going to come over. And once they came over, that opened the floodgates. It was a year after that McGillney broke out, and then Bure would be over there in a couple years. And Bure, the player Bure became, the work Bure did, and the player that he was, he gave a lot of credit to Larionov being there his first year. And Larionov putting up those points when Bure arrived, probably not entirely a coincidence. It is a crying shame that Larionov and Bure didn't get to play together longer, and certainly 93-94 could have been just a little bit better. But you know what? I don't think Larionov's regretting it. He won some cups with the Red Wings. He's pretty happy about that. I believe he won 3. And he had a solid career. And for Makarov, solid career as well. And for Krutov, again, it just shows that culture shock can be massive. So there you go. The KLM line and the changing of how the Calder Trophy is handed out. I apologize if this seems kind of cramped. I wanted to get it on the small board, and I realized pretty quick it's going to be hard to fit it all on the small board. I didn't want to use like a huge board for it. But there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments under this video what you guys think and that kind of thing. I can do videos on other lines as well. I just thought that this was a good line, and it also fits in neatly with Calder Trophy and how it's 26 and under only now, why it became that exclusive club. But yeah, hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I'll talk to you again later.